Oh man, we finally got all the details on Savitar's origin last night, and it was awesome! Of course, some of it wasn't worded all that well, and it got a lot of people confused when they saw it, but, still. Just in case you have no clue what I'm talking about, last night's episode of The Flash started off with a continuation of the end scene from last week's episode, with Barry and Savitar talking to each other about Savitar's origin, about him being a time remnant, and how the idea of Savitar is really just a big loop, and it was really cool, and it actually explained a good bit. But like I said, some of it was worded poorly, and it kind of opened up some more plot holes and inconsistencies, so a lot of people got confused over what they were hearing. So because of that, I figured I'd break down everything we know about Savitar's origin and really explain all the details, hopefully make it make a bit more sense, and kind of get into what this conversation potentially means for the next few episodes as we move towards the end of the season. So in a nutshell, Savitar is an example of time travel creating what's known as a causal loop. Basically what this means is, in order for Savitar to exist in the future, he specifically needs to introduce elements in the past that allow for his creation. It's basically like in the first Terminator movie, how the Terminator that Skynet sends back in time to kill Sarah Connor is what leads to the creation of Skynet in the first place. So how does this work with what we know about Savitar throughout season 3? Well, as I'm sure you guys remember, Savitar is supposed to fight the Flash and kill Iris in 2017. A few years later in 2020, Barry fights Savitar again, creating a ton of time remnants to help him out, only for Savitar to kill most of the time remnants before he's trapped in the Speed Force. However, one survives beaten and broken, but alive. According to Savitar though, this time remnant was shunned by Team Flash for not being the main Barry Allen, and he went crazy from it.
You all shunned me because I wasn't the true Barry Allen. I was an aberration.
Then the time remnant travels back in time, gets the Philosopher's Stone, which I would assume boosts his speed to the crazy high levels we've been seeing throughout the season, and has myths, rumors, and legends about himself spread throughout the multiverse. These are the same legends you'll remember Jay talking about, by the way.
Savitar was the first man ever granted speed. And over time, he became the god of motion, the fastest of us all.
Then, in order to ensure his own existence and to get revenge on Barry for giving him all this grief and all this pain, Savitar kills Iris in 2017, which leads Barry into despair and eventually causes him to create time remnants in a fight with Savitar in 2020, starting the cycle all over again. Now that's fine and all, but there's still a couple missing details in that explanation. For instance, this line:
You brought a remnant to life last year to defeat Zoom. Your duplicate died, saving the multiverse, and you continued your happy little life. And it would have stayed that way. But then you decided to play God. You created Flashpoint and changed everything.
Makes it sound like Savitar actually did have a real origin story before a messed up time remnant started the whole infinite loop I just talked about a second ago. I've seen a lot of comments, blog posts, stuff like that, pushing the idea that this line and this flashback don't actually have anything to do with Savitar's origin, that it was just an example of Barry creating a time remnant, so people who missed the last season would be more aware of what that is. And that's fine, I'd totally buy that, except it doesn't really explain Savitar saying Barry changed everything. Look, listen to it again.
Your duplicate died, saving the multiverse, and it would have stayed that way. But then you decided to play God and changed everything.
Now, why would he say all that after saying the time remnant from season 2 died, unless he was pointing out how timeline changes post-Flashpoint kept that time remnant alive, kickstarting the origin of Savitar? I'm thinking Savitar, before he got himself stuck in this never-ending cycle of getting trapped and causing himself to exist, he actually started off as the time remnant Barry created in season 2 against Zoom, that, as we saw, died, but thanks to Flashpoint, he was able to survive and eventually developed his hatred for Barry and the rest of Team Flash. And this is really interesting, because it shows us that there were way more changes to the timeline than what we've seen before, and it opens up the idea that we might not be done seeing these alterations. Like, we might see more of them in the early stages of season 4 or something, who knows. Plus, it fits in more with Savitar's line about Flashpoint inspiring him to give Wally super speed.
When you created Flashpoint, you unwittingly provided me with the means for my return. You gave me the idea to turn Wally into Kid Flash.
If he was really future Barry's time remnant from the post-Flashpoint timeline, he should have already been aware of Wally being Kid Flash and wouldn't need to be inspired by Barry doing anything. He would have just moved forward with his plan. Of course, that doesn't really explain why Savitar calls himself one of future Flash's time remnants in this latest episode.
He created time remnants to stop you. That you slaughtered them all but one. Me.
But, sounds better than saying the Zoom flashback was brought up just for kicks. So all that having been said, I still think there's a couple issues with the Savitar origin as it's being presented to us so far. For one thing, I can't imagine for a second that anybody on Team Flash would reject a version of Barry Allen, even if he was a time remnant. Remember how wowed and impressed they were in season 2 when the time remnant sacrificed itself to stop Zoom?
But he died.
He was willing to sacrifice himself for all of us.
That's how much he loved us.
You seriously think those same people would look at the guy that helped them out and tell him to get lost? Even if Flashpoint changed that event and made it so that that time remnant survived, I don't think it changed their personalities that much, at least to the point where they'd go out of their way to actively shun him, you know what I mean? And on top of that, remember what the future was like in episode 19? Future Cisco wanted a version of Barry who would actually be a hero again so badly he was willing to temporarily trap him in the future just to get things done. You seriously think Future Cisco would turn away a non-mopey version of Barry when things were at their bleakest for Team Flash? And then there's the fact that everybody on Team Flash kind of splintered because Future Barry couldn't suck it up and stick with his friends. Like, seriously, you don't think they'd gravitate towards the time remnant Barry if he was willing to put in the work and keep on being a hero? No way, I don't buy it. There's gotta be more to this story than just, man, everybody was mean to me, so I went fucking crazy and I decided to kill the woman I love because fuck everybody. Now, what the truth actually is, I don't know. Personally, I think it's gonna tie into why he has that big crazy scar. Like, I know they kind of hinted that he got it because he runs too fast, he needs the suit to protect him, all that good stuff, but I'm wondering if the writers are gonna have him pull a Darth Vader, like he tries to get more power to protect his friends only to accidentally hurt the main Barry or kill somebody or something like that. Then he gets shunned, and that, coupled with the fact that he messed up his own face and he's probably still grieving Iris's death, drives the time remnant insane and leads him to become Savitar and start the cycle of reincarnation. Speaking of, there's also been a few theories and rumors floating around about what Savitar needs to finish off his plan to ascend to this godlike status and control time. We already know Iris has to die. I mean, we've seen it a billion times and Savitar himself confirmed it, but what's the other thing he needs? Well, personally, I think it's Jessie. Remember back in episode 16 when Jessie went after Savitar on her own and she got the shit kicked out of her?
I have such plans for you in the future, Jesse Quick.
Savitar specifically mentions that he has big plans for her, and the writers really haven't followed up on it since. So what if Savitar has to kill Iris in order to emotionally break Barry and ensure that he'll create the time remnant that eventually becomes him, and he takes Jessie's speed to manipulate the Speed Force, or forces her to use the Philosopher's Stone or something? I don't know. I'm just positive Jessie's going to turn out to be a big part of Savitar's plan for whatever reason. Hopefully they'll build on that more when the next episode of The Flash airs next week at 8/7 Central. Alright guys, that's my take on the origins of Savitar and what I think the second thing is that he needs to complete his plan. If you agreed with my thoughts on this, or even if you didn't and you want to let me know that too, then go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to click that like button, maybe leave me a comment while you're at it, and go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check out any of my social media pages. I've got a Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. All those links are going to be in the description below. And I've also got my last video right there in the middle of your screen, so if you want to check that out, go ahead and click it, check it out. Alright, and I will see you all next time.